Sorry guys, I don't know what happened there, but my phone puked or something. Now we gotta start over. That's not fun. So we gotta wait again for the crowd to come back. And we'll just start over here. Don't know what happened, guys. My technology just vomited, and guess what? We got to start over. But luckily, we were only 10 minutes in, so we can get this going again. So I'm just going to pick up where I left off right here in the cradle, and we'll get this thing rocking and rolling. Hang on a minute. Again, apologies for my tech. It just something didn't happen right. I don't know what went on there. So tonight we're going to take a PEM casting, and we are going to make us a flat top FLD120, and this fills in the gaps in a two-part series I have out on Rockin' HTV and on Facebook Live videos here. This fills in those gaps. So I think that I put, what was it, 2 and 4 out there, but for some reason I don't have a 3. So tonight's 3 will overlap a little bit and then get us right in the money. Okay, let's start off with some tools you're going to need to do this build. One, you're going to need I used a 5/32 bit, and that is to drill out the rivets on the bottom of the cast, on the bottom of the truck when you disassemble it. 5/32 is what I used on this one. You'll need an X-Acto knife. That's just something you have to have anyway. I like to keep a sharp, pointed object around. This is just a Phillips head screwdriver that was stripping out bolts, is what it was, or nuts and screws. It was stripping out screws, so I just went ahead and rounded it off to make it a sharp point so I can push things out from the bottom. I'll show you that in a moment. Then we have got this these side cutters here. Another must-have tool. You got to have these, so just keep those around. You have them there just because you want them. Then, to actually cut this die cast, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute, you can use one of these blades. Pick them up in the Rockin' H Resources section, rockinhfarmtoys.com. You can use these there, or buy them there. You can also buy them in Hobby Lobby in your favorite hobby store. This tool, or a hacksaw, or a coping saw, or a Dremel is all acceptable. Okay, all of these tools here will work. Sorry for the jostling. And then of course I have a bandsaw which makes short work of all of this cutting stuff, and it's just simple, 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 simple. But all of these other tools will work. Do not let lack of tools keep you from building something that's awesome. If you guys use that as an excuse not to build something cool, I'm going to come to your house and drink all your beer and leave you with empty cans. How do you like that? On your bandsaw, or on your Dremel, this is my preferred blade right here. Any other blade than this usually shatters, but you can see there's fabric in here, and that keeps this blade from shattering. You can pick these up in my Amazon store at rockinhfarmtoys.com in the resources section. So if you're going to use a Dremel, I definitely recommend that blade. The other ones work, but they shatter, and I don't like them. But you know, if that's what you have, use it and then wear eye protection. Okay, so we've covered the tools, and now we'll talk about the truck. Here's what we're starting with. This is a PEM Freightliner 120. I mentioned before, when you're taking this apart, you'll have 2 rivets where I'd use this 5/32 inch bit to drill out, boom and boom. Drill those out, and then it comes apart easily. Let me show you just how easy. Alright, so here's one that I went ahead and drilled out. You can see right here, right there, and there. I ream that out, and voila, it comes apart. That's simple. It's that easy. Okay? The bumper here fits around a front post. Just a moment, I gotta set that down. Let me get my hands out of the road. Your bumper fits right here, and it just falls right off, no problems. Next, this bottom is separate from the top of the cab, which makes it really nice, because then if you want to do a two-tone, let's say you want to paint this something separate from the rest of from the top portion of the cab, you can. It makes it really, really simple. On this part, if you're going to take this fully apart, there's some mushroom plastic right here. You just take that off with your X-Acto knife and then push it out. It comes out easy. Same thing with your headlights. This does have actual headlights, which is kind of a cool feature. But you can just take and cut, if they don't come out easy, cut that plastic right back here. And that is where I will use this tool, my little punch here, to push that out. Okay? And then make sure you do it on a cloth, so if it happens to bounce or something, it doesn't go out on the floor. So these three parts right here come apart really, really simple. Rest of the cab, again, super duper simple to take apart. One of the easiest cabs, in my opinion, you can use. So the interior is just sitting there, pulls right out, or it'll fall out, one of the two. Let me make a little room here, get some parts out of the road. And then the your windshield, I mean, there's nothing holding that in except for the interior, which is, it's a great cab to work with. Your side windows, you can see this big glop of hot glue that the factory used to put that in. That's all that holds these side windows in. Also this top window. I take all those out, even though I'm going to discard them, not use them. I take them out anyway just to get them out of my way. Okay? Your exhaust, there's some mushroom plastic right there. You can cut those off, and then it pushes right out with a flathead screwdriver. Your X-Acto knife, or whatever you happen to have, take it out by hand. It's simple. Your grill right here, again, mushroom plastic. Boom, boom, two of them right there. Then you can just stick your knife in there and just pry it out easily. The mirrors are probably the hardest thing on this thing to take out. I don't know why, but they are. But I come in here with my little punch, and I push really, really hard to try and get these things started out, top and bottom. Once I kind of get them pushed out a little bit, you should be able to pull them out. They're goofy mirrors anyways. They're kind of just silly plastic things. They're not that fancy. So you can keep them or not. It's up to you. I try and save them just because that's what I do. That's what I do. So I try and push those out, and then I just pull them out. Hopefully you keep the pegs. Sometimes you don't. Once this cab is disassembled, you're ready to cut. So inside of this thing, you're going to have this to cut through, which is solid die cast, the back wall, and then this inside wall, you got to cut through that too. This is where a bandsaw really comes in handy, but again, do not let that be your excuse not to make something awesome if you don't have one. Cut it anyways, take your time and do it. Alright, what I like to do is cut along the top of the cab, right along this bottom of this window right here. I like to make that my first cut, and since I have some tools that a lot of guys don't have, I'll explain why I do it in just a moment. But I'll cut right along here, and then if you have a Dremel, you can come in here and cut more out as you go, but this will be a rough cut that at least gets the thing apart. Okay? And then cut around all the way. Now, let me show you what that thing looks like when it's cut. So this is one I cut yesterday afternoon. Let me take that off. You can see right where I cut there, all the way out to the front, and voila. So you can see it's not an even, gorgeous cut by any stretch. There's about a 1/16 of an inch of die cast right here I'm going to have to do something with, right? So you'll either need to use a disc sander. You could even touch it up with a grinder, kind of rough that out with a grinder. You could use a file and just sit here with a file and work it back and forth until you get it all level and square. This is now discarded. You don't need this anymore. Put that in your scrap iron bucket. But this is what the rough cut looks like right here. Okay? You can see this post right here, this solid chunk of die cast inside, and that is the rough cut. Okay? So we'll set that one off to the side now. And after I've made my cut and I've done all my sanding, this is what you're going to end up with. Okay? I did get a little carried away. It kind of leans from the front to the back. It drops off toward the back a little bit. You can see that. I think you should be able to see that fairly well. And on this side, I probably did a little bit better job. So it's not perfect all the way through on this particular model, but it's pretty good. It's not bad. And then I went and sanded clear down to the top of the visor that's built into the die cast. Okay, so all of this is flat from clear here in the front all the way to the back, and that's how I did. And the back here takes an extra bit of time, obviously, because it's so much thicker. You have to spend more time because the sides will come off easier than this part back here, and that's just the way it goes. So there it is. Alright, let's do a time check. 8:43. Good. Now, this is just plastic I actually used for something else. But this is just flat styrene. I have a link to this in my Amazon store at rockinghfarmtoys.com. Resources. Check that out. And in a previous video, in the original series I did on this, what I actually did was I came in here and I put a piece of styrene like this on top, and then I took a pencil inside and marked with a pencil inside here, blah 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 blah, and then cut those pieces out into the shape of the openings and stuck the plastic inside here and here, and then just used a bunch of, at the time I was using JB Weld. Well, that's what I normally use, but I used JB Weld to fill in any gaps, and then Bondo body paste over top of that to get it all nice and neat. I don't know that there's a lot of value to that, guys. Honestly, yeah, I did that on 2 of them. I can't say I'm convinced that's the best way. It's a heck of a lot more work. I mean, it's a lot more work. I don't know that you gain a lot by it, really. You can do it if you want. It's in the original series. I don't think I'm going to do that again. And I've got 4 of these to make for a project in the spring. And what I'm going to do is take this piece of flat plastic and just glue it to the top. Okay? And I'll do that here in just a moment. So I'm going to glue that to the top. And then, and the other video about how to finish all this is number 4 in the series. I think it's number 4 in the series. So you can see how to finish it there. But what you can do is, after the glue is set, what I like to do is come in here with a little bit of JB Weld. It's overkill, total overkill. You don't need to do this, but I do it anyway. Come in here with a little JB Weld along these edges, just because it just makes this, it's just what I do, and that's what I want to do. It's not necessary, guys, but I do come in here with JB Weld and then put some in there anyway. So here's where we're headed. We'll just put a little bit of love over here. My favorite glue in the whole wide world. Buy it. Until I find something different. So I'm using a copious amount, probably way too much glue here. but I'm doing it anyway. Just a little caveat here. You can leave that piece of plastic a little bit farther back, because some of these trucks kind of have this little hump looking thing in the front before, as it kind of converts from the visor to the back. So you can actually pull this back a little bit and then sand this down and round it off, and it'll look really cool. So you can do what you want right there. You can kind of handle that on your own. Okay, so all I'm going to do is let that glue dry in there and just let it chillax until I'm ready for the next step. So the next steps will be, one, after the glue is dry, you come in here with your knife and you just shave this out right along the die cast all the way around. Okay, you can leave a little bit of your styrene on the edge of that fairing right there, because that's the way the real one would look. Well, I shouldn't say that. Some of them don't. Some of them do have a little bit of a cutout right here from this transition to this side skirt there. So you can leave it or not. So cut that out, cut here on the back, down the side, and then if there's any nicks or weird spots on here, you can come back with body filler, fill in any weird seams that you see, and then sand them down. And if you were lucky enough to do it really well, maybe there won't be any, and you can just kind of lightly sand those edges, round them off, and then prime and paint it. I mean, I make it sound really simple. It's simple, but it's not easy. It is simple, it's not easy. But the first one will be your hardest one, so I do recommend building two. One to give to your buddy, and one to keep. So, that is the down and dirty of the Freightliner FLD120 flat top. And we have chopped that sucker in right at, where are we at? 18 minutes? So we got that dude done in 18 minutes to this point. Now, didn't hurt that I worked on this yesterday, but you get my point. So now I am ready for questions about anything that you've seen thus far. And if there's something else you'd want to know that is unrelated to this project, that's okay, fire away. I'll be glad to answer that also. So here's all the pieces that we've had. There's this one. So this one will get sanded. And then these other two are, let me see, somebody wanted to buy one of these. And I got to check my store and see if I have enough that I can sell one. Oh, before questions come in, let me just tell you this. I went through the trouble of mounting one of these on a DCP frame. I don't think I'm going to do that again. I don't think you gain a lot. Well, first, it's a heck of a lot more work. Scroll saw should work fine. To cut around, oh, well, I didn't even think about that, Ward. You know, this stuff cuts so easy with an X-Acto knife, that's what I use. I didn't even think about a scroll saw. Yeah. I don't know why it wouldn't work. I guess it's on you to do it and tell us how it goes. But yeah, let me step back here. I don't think you gain a lot by going on a DCP frame, frankly. I think it's a lot of extra work. And I think mine kind of turned out wonky look on a DCP frame. You could flip out these tires, dress it up with a nicer fifth wheel plate. You lose steering tires, but you know, you don't have to worry about the spacing in between your fender and the tires being weird. You know, you don't have to worry about stretching a frame or shortening it or whatever it is you're going to do. I just don't think you gain a lot by going on a DCP frame with one of these. You can, if that's what turns you on, but if you want to save some work, I'd punt it. I'm not doing that on these. These are all going to go right back on this original frame. Only thing I'm going to do is paint them black. So, there you go, fellas. You can take that information and do with it as you wish. Okay, great question. Matt, I'm using two kinds of body filler. For quickies where I'm just needing something in a hurry, this stuff works great. Simple to work with, dries in not long. I mean, within an hour you can be sanding. Works really, really well. Then I have this two-part stuff. If I can find the second part here, I'll show that to you. But Ben Wicker turned me onto this, and so I've been using this stuff. It is $30-some for this jug on Amazon, and it comes in a two-part. There's a little tube of blue goo, so you'll pour some of this out on a piece of plastic or something. You add just a little taste of blue goo to it, which is the curing agent, and then you got to actually work pretty quick with this stuff. You cannot sit around on it. You got to mix it, apply it, and it sands really, really nice. It doesn't gas out like this stuff does. And what I mean by that, if this stuff dries too fast, it cracks and then actually get pinholes in it. It doesn't happen really often, and I don't think it's a big enough deal to not use it, but it does work really well. I don't use this as much as I use this, simply because you just open the lid, put a little bit on a knife, and apply it, and you're done. Where this is, like I said, a two-step process. Oh, great, Ward. He's saying he uses Permatex liquid metal. Excellent idea. I've never used it, but it sounds cool. And then, of course, for body filler, if you have some of this on hand, it's harder to sand, but it works great. It works. So you don't have to spend a lot of money to do this stuff. This stuff is $5 at the hardware store. I think everybody knows how much JB Weld costs, not much. And then, like I said, the Evercoat that I showed you a minute ago was $30 on Amazon plus shipping. All right. Keep those questions firing away. Let me see here. If you wanted to get rid of the fender skirts, this is a simple task. Get rid of these fender skirts by cutting right along the back side of here with a hacksaw or something, or a Dremel. You can cut right along this edge with your wheel. And then you can cut those fender skirts down anywhere you want along that side. How did you remove all the paint, even from the small cracks? Excellent question, Matt. Okay, let me show you real fast. Okay, let me see. This one actually is all apart. Let me just... Okay, I'm going to move a few things here for you real quickly. This is my bucket of lacquer thinner, and I don't know if I have anything in here or not. This is just lacquer thinner. I buy it in a gallon jug from the... And I put this in this morning because... and it's been in here all day for no other reason than I just stuck it in this morning and then I left for work. That was it. But you can see here how well it works. And then I just use a wire wheel to clean up. Well, you can use your X-Acto knife if you need to. And just a wire wheel or your X-Acto knife will get out of all those cracks and crevices. So that's it. Lacquer thinner. I'm actually going to move over to carburetor cleaner because it's a bit more aggressive than lacquer thinner. But I have a bunch of this on hand, so I'm still using it. So that's all I do, guys, right there. And you can go to rockinhtv.com. Look at see. That was just dipped in there. These are pad painted decals. They're coming right off. Boom. I did 4 different methods to strip paint off diecast in a video out on Rockin' HTV. I used aircraft stripper, carburetor cleaner, lacquer thinner, and then some household paint remover. But you can find that at rockinhtv.com. 4 of them in about 15 minutes. It was awesome. So yeah, you can see this stuff is already bubbling up. And then one other thing I tell you also, not all paint removers work the same, because some of this paint, depending on what color it is and what factory it came out of in China, does not come off the same. So that is what I use to strip paint. That's my go-to material for paint removal. Okay, let me see what time it is, because I want to get you guys done here in a few minutes. I had a question about the crust buster that I showed you in the first episode. Here we go. This is the crust buster. This is all warped and weird because it got warm out in my garage where I had it stored. It got warm, and so long story short, these are warped because it got warm. The question was, what is ultra frosted detail or frosted ultra detail? And on this particular model, all of the black is frosted ultra detail. You can tell this stuff is very brittle because some of my press wheels have busted off on this. This is a prototype. Some of the press wheels have busted off. And then the boxes are strong and flexible polished. So, yeah, this thing just got warm, and it's now just goofier than a pet coon. It's awful. You can, it's awful. But anyways, here's what the decals look like. And this is their flagship drill, the 40-footer. And what I need to do yet is put the decals on the front of the boxes. And then here's, oh, you can't read that because of the autofocus. But it says the 4745 all plant. So that is it. The next one will look much better because it will not have been warmed up and warped. And I just used straight pins for the pins on all the pivot points. That's all those are, is just straight pins I cut down. So, alright guys, we are coming up on time. If there are no other questions, I'm going to wrap this show up. Anyways, the second show of Rockin' H TV. Next week, we're going on Tuesday instead of Monday. Obviously, we have Halloween, and I've got little people that want to go trick-or-treating. So I'm going to be doing dad stuff on Monday next week. Hope you are too, and being safe, etc. And stealing all your kids' chocolate. My help over here is giving me a dirty look. So anyways, we'll be going at 8:30 on Tuesday next week. And this is the ultimate beginner's guide. I'm going to show you all the must-have tools for beginners and where to buy just the basic stuff that you got to have on hand just because you're going to use it. So you might as well have it ready. So that is what next week's episode is going to be, number 3, numero 3. And hope you'll join me then. And share the love with some friends who are new to this. They don't know what to do. Tell them to get over here. Subscribe. As soon as I end the show, there's going to be a little subscribe button where you can get notifications. Click that. Every time I go live, you'll get a notification right here on Facebook. So there's no reason to miss that way. Let me see. What else can I tell you? Thanks for the love, guys. You're awesome. So here we go. Share it, comment, like it, do all that good stuff to help everyone get the models they want by learning how to do it. This is the only live tutorial on Diecast that I am aware of. So don't hide it under a bushel basket. Get it in the hands of people that it's going to benefit. And if you're learning, share what you know. That way everyone gets a model that they want and they can be proud of, make their friends jealous or whatever it is. So with that, guys, I'm going to let you go for now. Can't thank you too much for being here. And can't thank you enough for being here. I appreciate it. You guys make this fun. Thank you. We'll see you next time.